I'm Ethan. I turned 20 just a few months ago and live in a quiet town in Oregon, USA. My dad passed away 3 years ago, and since then, it's just been me and my stepmother, Grace. She's 45, elegant, calm, and always carries this quiet sadness behind her warm smile. Dad married her late in life, after my mom died. And surprisingly, Grace had always been kind to me. Not forcefully kind, but sincerely gentle. After Dad's funeral, she never tried to control me or lecture me. She just cared. One Friday morning, she knocked on my door gently. "Ethan, can you do me a favor this evening?" she asked, her voice softer than usual. "Sure, anything. What is it?" She smiled faintly. "I'll tell you later." That sentence played in my head all day. Why didn't she just say what the favor was? My curiosity was slowly becoming anxiety. Evening came. I stepped into the living room where she had lit candles. A soft vanilla scent filled the space. She stood by the window in a navy blue sweater dress, her hair down, her eyes holding something I couldn't read. "I need you to come with me," she said. "Where?" "Just drive. I'll tell you." We got in the car. The road was silent. She gave directions toward the countryside, where my dad used to take us for small getaways. A few miles in, she asked me to stop by an old cabin. "Why are we here?" I asked. "This was where your father proposed to me," she said, her voice cracking. "Today is our wedding anniversary." I looked at her, stunned. "I didn't know." She nodded, looking away. "No one does." We sat on the porch, silently. The stars above blinked, as if they knew our story. Then she turned to me. "Ethan, I've been carrying so much. Since your dad passed away, I've felt empty. This cabin was where I last truly felt happy. I wanted to come here with someone who understood." She reached out, touched my hand, and held it gently. "You remind me of him. The way you walk, the way you care without saying too much. And sometimes, I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse." There was a long pause. Her hand remained in mine. My heart was racing. This wasn't a normal night. There was something in her eyes, pain, longing, maybe even loneliness. "I asked you for a favor," she said, "because I didn't want to be alone on the hardest night of my life." We sat for hours, talking about Dad, about life, about regrets. And just when I thought we were done, she whispered, "Ethan, there's one more thing I never told you." "What is it?" She pulled a small envelope from her purse and handed it to me. "Read this later, after we return home." That night, after we returned, I sat on my bed, the envelope burning in my hand. I opened it. Inside was a letter, written by my dad, dated 2 weeks before his death. "Ethan, if you're reading this, I'm probably not around anymore. I need you to do something for me. Take care of Grace. Not out of duty, but because I see something in you, something I saw in myself. She's more fragile than she looks. And if one day your bond becomes more than just mother and son, don't fight it. I trust you both. Love isn't always traditional. Sometimes it's simply meant to be." My hands shook. Tears welled up. It wasn't just a favor. It was fate. And from that moment on, everything changed. A week later, Grace left town without telling anyone. I woke up to an empty house and another letter on the dining table. "Ethan, I love you, but I had to leave. Not because I didn't feel what you felt, but because I did. Deeply. If our paths are meant to cross again, they will. Until then, live, love, and never stop remembering that night." I never saw her again. But every year, I go back to that cabin and light a candle for the woman who changed everything. After Grace left, my life lost its rhythm. I searched everywhere, called her friends, checked hospitals, even drove to neighboring towns. Nothing. It was like she had vanished into thin air, leaving only the memory of that unforgettable night and the letters behind. Weeks passed, then months. I returned to my university life in Portland, but something in me had changed. I couldn't focus in class. I didn't feel like going out. My friends noticed, but I gave them the same excuse. Just dealing with family stuff. But every Friday night, I'd drive back to that cabin and sit on the same porch, waiting. hoping. One rainy evening, as I arrived at the cabin again, I noticed something strange. The front door was unlocked. I stepped inside, heart pounding. The air smelled like Grace's perfume, that soft vanilla scent I'd once breathed in with comfort. There were fresh flowers on the old wooden table. A cup of tea, still warm. She had been here. I called out, "Grace?" No response. I checked the rooms. Empty. On the floor near the fireplace was a journal, worn leather, pages filled with her handwriting. On the first page, "If you found this, Ethan, then I still love you." I sat and read page after page. Her words were raw, honest. I left because I was afraid. Not of you, but of what people would say. Of how society would twist something so pure into something shameful. I love you, Ethan. Not as a mother, but as a woman who found comfort, warmth, and meaning in your presence. Tears streamed down my face. But it wasn't over. The final pages chilled me. "There's something I never told you. Something your father made me promise not to speak of until you turned 21. I've been protecting a truth that could change everything. You are not his biological son." I froze. The journal fell from my hands. "Your mother and I were best friends. When she passed, your father stepped in, but Ethan, he wasn't your real father. I knew this. Your father was someone else, someone I once loved before she did. We were entangled in a life that was never truly honest." That night at the cabin, I wasn't just mourning your dad. I was mourning the lies, the years lost, and the love I never got to express until you. The room spun. All this time, Grace wasn't really my stepmother. Not in the way I had believed. Suddenly, there was a loud knock at the door. I jumped. Opened it. A man in a dark coat stood there, holding an envelope. "You're Ethan?" "Yes. This is for you. Grace left it with our agency 6 months ago. She paid us to deliver it today. Said it was only to be given after a specific journal was found." I took the envelope with shaking hands. My name was written in her cursive script. Inside was one photo, one train ticket, and a final letter. "Ethan, if you've read this, then you know the truth. I'm in New Orleans now. I've started over. I had to go, not to escape you, but to save you from the world's judgment. But here's the real twist. I didn't leave forever. Come find me if your heart still wants to. Your train leaves at 10:30 tomorrow morning." I looked up at the man. "She's in New Orleans?" He nodded once, then walked away. I made my decision. I packed my bag, grabbed the journal, and took the train ticket. But when I boarded the train the next morning, a woman sat 2 rows ahead of me. She wore a black coat, her hair pulled back. She looked familiar, yet different. I walked closer. It was Grace. But beside her sat a young girl, maybe 5 or 6 years old, clutching a teddy bear. Grace looked up. Our eyes locked. Her face paled. The little girl looked up at her and asked, "Mommy, who's that man?" Grace whispered something I couldn't hear. I froze.